Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 5 of the USS Franklin build from Star Trek Beyond. And give me 2 seconds, I gotta respond to my work phone real quick. Alright, sorry about that. My work phone has been going off the hook. In fact, I actually was in the middle of a video with this just a few moments ago, and my phone rang and I had to stop the video, and I ended up, instead of pausing the video, I ended up stopping it. So we're gonna try this again. So first I want to apologize for the long delay between videos. Basically I kind of put this model up for a while. Once I got the base color redone, I just put it up and I haven't really touched it for a while. I've been busy working on some other stuff around the house, as well as doing some 3D designing for some parts that I'm going to be 3D printing for a scratch build, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit before the at the end of the video here. So basically with the Franklin, as you can see, the nacelles are off. Last video they were on. What I did was I wasn't happy with the color. It was way too dark after I sprayed the gloss coat on, and it really just nagged at me. And I didn't like it. And then I looked at some screen grabs of the ship and realized it's actually really light. So what I did was I took it, and thank God it's craft paint. I went ahead and I stripped everything down. I remasked off all the clear parts that I had to, had to stay cleared. And I mixed up this, and I just call it Starship color because I plan to use it on starships and, well, some Star Wars models. But it's just white craft paint with, I don't remember the exact ratio of black. I just kind of did it by eye. I kept putting black into it until it came up the color I kind of wanted. Now, I intentionally made it to be about a shade lighter than what I was looking for, and I did that because once you spray a gloss coat on, it bumps it up a shade. So to compensate, I just made it a little less. But I mixed a big batch of this. This is all craft paint. And it's been filtered through a strainer, and it's about the right consistency to shoot through an airbrush. And it came up really well. I went ahead, I stripped the model down completely, I re-primed it, and then I re-sprayed it. And this is how it came out. This is gloss coated at this point. I do have decals on. I like this new color. I think it's pretty cool. I also went ahead and did some detail painting. These fins are actually a darker color, and so is this piece right here. I repainted all of the red. Now, I noticed on the Franklin, there's 2 versions of these. This fin detail paint right here. The Eagle Moss ship shows this section painted, but in screen grabs it didn't. So I kind of like this, so I just went ahead and kept it. And I know I should have gone all the way down with that red paint, but it just wasn't quite working out for me, so I just left it right there, and I thought that looked pretty decent. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. It's actually, at this point, I am ready for the weathering process on it. Now, I did have a couple of accidents, some mishaps, I should say, when I was. And mind you, I had already sealed this, and I let it sit for probably a good 2 days. So I don't know why it did what it did, but I took some masking tape when I was masking off for these fins, and I detacked it, on my pants to make it not as sticky, and I still ended up tearing or lifting off the paint here and here. So I ended up having to mix up. Well, no, I'm sorry. I didn't have to mix up. I had the paint. I went up respraying a little bit of it, and it kind of gave it an off color, but that's fine because this is going to be dirtied anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. I did have another accident when I was stripping it. I somehow lost the impulse engine, the clear pieces. No big deal. I went ahead and just kind of traced the shape roughly. And I took some clear styrene and I just cut the shape out and I refined it until it fit in the hole perfectly. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab in some red. And yeah, it's not going to have that kind of like bubble effect that you see in the movie, but that's fine. It looks good to me. The nacelles are also done, and I'll show them to you, and they're also decaled as well. So here's the nacelles. I got that red paint, or the red detail here. I got the decal on for that, and I got the decals around the front. I'm going to do with the Bazaar collectors, I'm going to go ahead and put the caps on, get them glued on with some canopy glue, and I'm going to leave them totally separate from the model until at very last. And it's really a tight fit, so it'll be a good friction fit. So I'm going to leave them off until then. All I have to do now is rewire the nacelles, and I got everything. I got the caps glued on and everything. It works really well. I fired it up, and it looks great. And again, I'm really happy with that color, so we were good to go. Anyway, what else? I think. Oh, and here is the clear caps for the Bazaar collectors. I just painted the inside yellow lightly, and then stainless steel for the fins. Came up pretty good. And just FYI, if you're mixing colors, mixing paints, I highly recommend getting a box of plastic spoons to use as testers. I got a whole box of these things, and what I do is when I'm mixing the color is I spray it onto the spoon. I do it because it's white. It's a good basic background. I spray the paint on, let it dry, and then I give it a gloss coat to see what the final color is going to be, because one thing about paint is once you throw on that gloss coat, it darkens it a shade. So do it on this first, that way you can say, oh shoot, that's too dark, you know, and you can lighten it up a little bit to compensate for that. But I always go by the finish color, as you know, as far as like putting the gloss coat on, and that's what I go by as far as what I'm mixing. And these things are invaluable. They're cheap, and I use them quite frequently. So just a recommendation: if you're mixing your own colors, get some spoons. Other than that, that's kind of it for the Franklin. All my wires kind of neatened up here too. I don't know if I showed the stand or not, but I will show that off right now. So, dusty. So, I did not go Canon with the stand, or well, maybe not Canon. I didn't go according to what the box art showed. The box art showed very colorful, a very colorful stand, and it looked nice, but I didn't want it for my model. So I went ahead and did it in a black background with all metallics, and I think that came out really good. It's got a satin coat. Basically, I just gave it a light dusting of the Future, so it kind of gave it a satin finish to it. I think this turned out really good. I hand painted all of the lettering, the stars, and pretty much most everything was hand painted on here. The ring I did airbrush and mask off. I did mask off this section right in here, but letters and all were painted by hand, so it turned out really good. As far as this stand itself that goes on the model, is I went ahead and 3D printed a bunch of these tubes, and I have a hole drilled right in the bottom right there for the wiring. So the idea is when I put the Franklin on this stand, the wiring is going to be twisted, and it's going to feed down these tubes and out the bottom, and this will be sitting on a box, and inside the box will be all the wiring for the ship. So that's the plan with that, but the stand is finished, and I like this look. I like the black, the gold, and the silver. I think it looks really good. To me, it pops. And a few of my friends have seen this, and they said it looks really good. So I think this was a good direction. I did have to hog out a little bit here, right up in there, to compensate for the wiring coming out, but no big deal. So that's done. Now as for my next build, what I'm basically doing, let me get out the box here, is I'm combining, I can't talk tonight, I'm combining, I had 3 of these. I had this one, and then I had 2 other older kits, but as anyone knows, that this particular model, the repop of today and the one made back in the 80s is pretty much the same kit. So I had 3 of them, and I have a lot of parts left over, and I was like, I wanted to do my own kind of build. Now, one thing about scratch building starships from Star Trek is there are so many variations of starships out there that 9 times out of 10, once you think you got an original design, you find out that it's already been designed or created somewhere down the road by somebody else. So, disclaimer, I'm not saying what I'm doing is original. I did see some ships like it online, which kind of gave me the idea of doing it. But long story short is I'm going to be taking the main saucer, and I'm going to have like kind of like the Franklin. I'm going to have like pylons or wings going out the back, and it's going to attach the nacelles, and then I'm going to have 2 secondary hulls underneath of the ship. It's hard to explain, but I've been spending a lot of time on the computer designing and getting ready for print parts to make the scratch build happen. I've also 3D designed some of the thrusters on the saucer up and lower, because anyone that has built this kit knows that the 2 thrusters on the top and lower section don't line up. So I'm going to cut them out, and I'm going to 3D print new ones. And yes, I know I can buy 3D printed ones already from Shapeways, but I want to try printing my own. I'm also 3D printing impulse crystals, as well as some new grills for the nacelles. I took my original design and I kind of junked it, and I redid a design for it that I think is going to work out a lot better. So it's hard to explain this, and yes, it's going to be lit too, by the way. I actually have cut out windows in all the parts, and it's going to be fully lit. I've never done a scratch build before, and never especially have done a scratch build where I'm combining a pre-existing model kit with 3D printed parts that I designed. So I'm kind of hoping that it comes out. This is my first attempt. I'm fairly confident in myself as far as designing, so I think it's going to turn out really well. Also, this is going to be a smoothie. This scratch build I'm working on is going to be completely smooth. There's going to be no panel lines whatsoever. It's going to be as smooth as the POS chip. I'm going to take I lost my train of thought. Resin. I cannot think of it. I'm going to take some resin, and I'm going to basically fill in all the seam lines, everything on all the parts completely, and it's going to be a complete smoothie. So yeah, and that's why it's going to be easy to move the thruster ports, because it's all going to be smooth, so it will not be a problem. But yeah, it's just and it's because I don't like all this brick pattern anyway, so I'm just going to. I was at first going to leave the main panel lines, but then I thought, you know what, let's make the whole thing smooth. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a fairly interesting ship, and it's my first, like I said, so I'm hoping it works out. We'll see. That's the next build after the Franklin's over. As far as the Franklin goes, at this point, this ship is ready to be dirtied up. Now, I'm not going to attach the nacelles until after I do the weathering, because I don't want to risk breaking the nacelles by piping and hitting them. So we'll leave them off and weather them separately, and then once they're weathered and sealed, I'm going to rewire them up, and then I'll reattach them. It's pretty simple to do that. This video's getting a little long. I'm going to try not to make it too terribly long, but I just really want to touch base with everything I'm working on. Now, as far as weathering goes, let's see, do I have? Yes, I do. So that's gray. What, I have black? Not rust. Where's my rust? There we go. That's it. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to use a combination of Flory models, clay-based washes. I have Grime right here. I love these washes because they go on, you let them dry, and you just take a damp paper towel or a damp rag, and they come right off. They rehydrate and come right off. It's all clay-based. You can airbrush this on, or you can brush it on. So I got this is going to be the initial all over everything, because I'm going to make it really dirty. I might go over with a light gray just for some contrast. I definitely got some rust going on here, so I'm going to put some rust around the outer, some of the spots around the outer ring here. And maybe have a little bit of dark dirt, which I may add in to maybe other places on the kit. Once that's finished and wiped off, I'm going to go ahead and give it a black wash. Kind of a light black wash on both sides. And once that's done, I'm going to get I'm going to take some Vallejo matte. I'm sorry. Where did it go? Where did it go? Here it is. Here it is. No, get that later. I'm going to be using this. It's a Vallejo matte acrylic varnish. I've had this bottle for a long time. It still is quite full. I love this stuff. It's water soluble. You just put this in a cup, a little bit of water, and you can shoot through your brush. And I brought this out on my channel before and showed people, but I got this on Amazon. I think I paid about $11 for it, so it's not too terribly bad. But it's by Vallejo matte acrylic varnish. They do make a gloss varnish as well. Having a hard time finding that though. So that's kind of where we stand. That's where I stand right now with Franklin. My end goal is once I get this thing sprayed and get the nacelles put on, that I can get the box worked on, which the box is going to be very simple. I'm going to simply just sand down the box. It's a box I got from the craft store. I'm going to sand it down. I'm going to paint it. I don't know if I'm going to paint it or stain it. I'm not sure yet, but I'll do something with it. And then once that's done, I can put this up on the shelf and call it good. And then I start working on the scratch build, which I'm kind of excited about, to be honest with you, because it's new territory for me, so I'm kind of excited about doing it. Oh, the other thing I did too, I forgot to mention this. While I had this thing stripped, I was able to crack open the saucer section, and I wasn't happy with the fiber optics for the thrusters. They were really small, and I thought they were a little too small and not in scale with the ship. So while I had it opened, I went ahead and took a drill bit and I drilled in, I think it was a 0.75 millimeter or 1 millimeter. I forgot. I'm looking at the fiber optic now. I think maybe it's a 1 millimeter. But anyway, I re-drilled the holes out and I put in new fiber optics and new lights. They look a lot better. I'm leaving them protruding or proud right now because I don't want to cut them off until I have done with all the weathering, and then I'm going to take some nippers and just cut those off. But overall it's coming out pretty good. I've had a few issues with this ship, but for the most part I like how it's coming out, and I think once I get the weathering on, I think this will look pretty sharp. So yeah, that's about it. So I want to thank you guys I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank all my subscribers. Again, I do apologize for the long stretch. I'm going to try not to do that again anytime soon. I will try to be more diligent with the videos on the scratch build. It's just that I had other stuff that just kind of took my attention. So, but I'm starting to ramble. It's almost 9 o'clock at night, and I have to go to work tomorrow. So, again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below. And until next time, have a great a great rest of your week. And until the next time, happy modeling, everybody. Good night.